Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Private Sector Forum here at the Jacob Javits Center, hosted by the United Nations Global Compact. I also want to give a warm welcome to our virtual audience, since this event is live streamed on our virtual platform as part of our virtual event, Uniting Business Live. My name is Tolu Olubumi, and I am honored to be your host and MC for today's event. This is my fourth time hosting the Private Sector Forum, and I am incredibly excited about the program we have planned for you. This is a unique opportunity for CEOs, government leaders, and UN representatives to engage in high-level dialogues, to align with and support the UN Secretary General's Global Crisis Response Group and the 5-Point Renewable Energy Plan. This year, the discussions will be focused on how to accelerate and finance the renewable energy transition in times of crisis to build peace. Before we get started, please make sure that you have downloaded the event app. This is where you will post your questions for the Q&A segment after each panel. This link to the event app is available in your confirmation emails. You can also download the event app by scanning the QR code on the screen. Now, to kick things off with opening remarks, it is my great pleasure to welcome Ms. Sanda Ojiambo, the Assistant Secretary General and Executive Director and CEO of the UN Global Compact. Welcome, Sanda.
Thank you, Tolu, and thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's so great in these times to see a room full of people and, coming together to have real discussions on important issues for the world. So a warm welcome to this year's Private Sector Forum. I know we were meant to hold this a couple of years back, and the pandemic stood between us. But the pandemic also provided a great moment for reflection. And we stand here in 2022, I believe, at a time when the world is fractured. Issues such as trust, solidarity, togetherness, problem solving had been put on hold. And I do think that the Private Sector Forum and gathering us all here in this room gives us the opportunity to move forward in that regard. Adding to that, the Agenda 2030 on Sustainable Development is in grave danger. I know for all of us, no matter where we were around the world, we suffered the same thing: stagnating economies, health systems that were under challenge. Right now, we have conflicts raging around the world, now more than ever, steadily eroding the last decade of development. Food shortages, energy shocks, inflation, we're all in this together. I know that these challenges are insurmountable, or may seem insurmountable, but what gives me optimism is the fact that the private sector is continuously called upon to provide solutions. And nowhere is this truer than with climate action. Climate change, ladies and gentlemen, presents the single biggest challenge to sustainable development, and time is running out to avert its most devastating impacts. If we're slow to the rising 1.5-degree temperature goal, we will realize the massive destruction. We must halve greenhouse gas emissions by the end of this decade and reach net zero by 2050. But instead, current national commitments fall far short of this. Mitigation pledges for 2030 have had limited impact on global emissions, with only a projected reduction of 7.5%. So the truth is, if the world continues on this trajectory, we will see global temperature increases of 2.7 degrees, along with large-scale climate catastrophe. I think one only needs to reflect on the happenings in Pakistan to realize that really this is a true and present danger. We have no time to waste. The UN Secretary General has developed a 5-point energy plan that seeks to triple private and public investment in renewables to at least $4 trillion annually. It includes critical actions to enhance energy security and to slow climate change, all while advancing sustainable development. But to reach these goals, business must increase public-private partnerships to jumpstart the renewable energy transition. They must promote equitable and resilient energy solutions to support the needs of the world's most vulnerable people and ecosystems. And the business community must scale corporate investments in renewables in both wealthy and developing economies. Just earlier, I was with some of the business leaders here discussing the need for accessible and affordable finance to really drive forward these transitions. It's crucial that this transition to a green economy must be credible, verifiable, just, and inclusive. And these words will mean different things depending on which part of the world you stand on. But most importantly is to make sure that these transitions are credible. Earlier this month, we launched our Think Lab on Just Transition, launched a new guidance for businesses on navigating this challenge. The publication outlines 7 concrete actions for engaging in effective social dialogue, creating decent green jobs, and ensuring that no one is left behind. And I want to thank many of those Think Lab companies and partners who are present here today. You've made important contributions to this guidance. But ladies and gentlemen, I know I've talked about daunting challenges. There is good news, because there must always be good news. The good news is that business is increasingly being trusted by society. CEOs are being called out on as moral leaders of society. And for the CEOs here, I'm sure you've already experienced this. People expect you to speak about more than simply your P&L, to take a stand on societal issues, and to lead and drive this change in partnership. We firmly believe that this level of business leadership is what is needed to effect this change. A little bit about our work and how we feel this will continue to add value to your work. More than 450 companies with 26 local networks have already signed up to take part in the UN Global Compact SDG Ambition Accelerator. This is a 6-month program that empowers companies to develop and implement innovative business strategies to advance the SDGs. We're soon wrapping up recruitment for our 3rd round of SDG Ambition, and I invite you all to sign up by the September 30th deadline to help get the world back on track to the 2030 agenda, company by company, because every company counts. On the investment side, last year we launched a CFO coalition for the SDGs to encourage sustainable investments across industries and regions. And with our privileged position between public and private sectors, we believe we can help lower barriers to investments, especially in developing economies, bringing government support and development resources.
Hey, Joe, just keep it down a little bit.
The UN Global Compact, again, calls on all companies to set near-term science-based targets aligned with a 1.5-degree pathway, and long-term science-based targets aligned with the net zero standard. Self-declared goals, ladies and gentlemen, are not enough. Companies must ensure that their targets are verifiable and up to date with the latest climate science and are being reported and monitored transparently. I'm happy to report that companies with approved targets through the Science-Based Target Initiative, or SBTI, are demonstrating significant progress. In fact, typical SBTI-approved companies have been more ambitious than the 1.5-degree trajectory, reducing emissions twice as fast as estimated. This past July, the UN General Assembly declared access to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment a universal human right. This paves the way for both businesses and states to accelerate the implementation of their environmental and human rights commitments, which is why we are also pleased to announce today a new Business and Human Rights Accelerator. This 6-month accelerator program activates companies across industries and regions through an ongoing due diligence process. The accelerator is designed to help companies understand when, where, and how they adversely impact human rights, all while making clear what to prioritize for the most salient issues for action. And again, I'd like to invite all of the businesses present to join the Business and Human Rights Accelerator today. With the right tools and knowledge, your company can be a champion for human rights and certainly a powerful force for good. So dear friends, dear colleagues, I'm truly encouraged by the increasing level of engagement and commitment from the business community within the Global Compact and beyond. Lots of opportunity exists to ramp up support for the Secretary General's 5-point energy plan and ensure a just transition in which no one is left behind. It is clear, and we've seen, that when businesses work together, they can be an incredible force for societal transformation and change. And I think we know that given all of the problems lying ahead of us, we do need the private sector at the core to drive this forward. But most importantly, I think for all of us, we must commit to a long-term investment in ensuring the very survival of our own humanity. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you for joining this private sector forum online and in person. And I look forward to following the discussions as we continue forward on the important work that we all have to do ahead of us. Thank you for your kind attention.